Hello students, welcome to lecture number 17 of Computer Architecture course. So far in the previous lecture we have learned about associative cache memory. That was a different class of cache memory on the top of direct map caches that you've learned. So by now you've learned about direct map caches, you've learned about the set associative caches, and you've also learned about the fully associative caches. What we are going to focus today is a new concept of memory which is known as virtual memory. Okay, this is also a very widely used concept in the field of computer architecture, and this can also be used in some way in a conjunction with the cache memory, with the RAM, and also with the permanent storage like hard drive. Okay, so let's get started and let's have a look how the virtual memory is used in the real life. Okay, so what is a virtual memory? A virtual memory is a technique using main memory as a cache for the secondary storage. So you have the cache on one hand, which is in fact kind of like, you can say, the smaller amount of faster memory compared to the RAM. Now in this case, the virtual memory is a technique where the main memory is used as a cache for the secondary storage. Okay, so the RAM is in fact acting as a kind of like a cache, a virtual cache for the secondary storage. Consider a collection of programs which is simultaneously running on a computer. So the total amount of required memory is much larger than the amount of the main memory that is present. Okay, that's obvious because when you're running multiple programs together, okay, it's obvious that you require more space, okay, compared to whatever is available inside the RAM. So what do we do in that case? So the main memory needs to contain only the active portions of the program, so not all needs to reside inside the main memory. Okay, only the most active portions which is being recently used can be part of the main memory. The rest may not be part of the main memory. Okay, so what happens? Let's have a look. So since we said that only the active portions of the program can reside in the main memory, while the rest of it doesn't need to, so this actually is referring to the principle of locality, which says that only the most recently used portions will reside inside the memory, while the rest can be swept out of it. So virtual memory allows efficient and safe sharing of memory among multiple programs. Okay, so multiple programs can actually use a same RAM address, okay, by the concept of virtual memory. So it removes the programming burden of a small limited amount of main memory, and the programs sharing the memory, since it changes dynamically over the programs are running, therefore the compiler sets its own program with its own virtual address space. So every program will have its own address space, which we call as virtual address space, and this is set up by the compiler basically. Okay, so the program sharing the memory changes dynamically while the programs are running. Okay, so this virtual memory translates the program's address space to its actual physical memory, thereby enforcing protection of a program's address space from each other. Okay, so not at the same time two programs can kind of access the same physical address, although they may point to the same physical address, but they would be accessed at different instances of time. So the virtual addresses could be same, however that may not be allowed to be utilized at the same time. So virtual memory allows a single user program to exceed the size of the primary memory. So that is kind of like giving an illusion to the designer that you have more memory than what is actually provided at the physical level. So let's have a look at this diagram. So you have a virtual address on the left side. Okay, this is the table which contains the virtual address, and these are the virtual pages that are part of the virtual address, and we have some address translation block or process in between that will convert the virtual address to its respective physical address. Okay, so these ones which are not marked in shaded blue are the ones which are mapping directly into the physical address. Okay, that is mapping to the pages of the physical address. So therefore these are the actual addresses consisting of the physical pages, while the blue ones indicate the mappings which are not present inside the physical memory, but they are actually residing on the hard disk, which is a secondary storage. So thereby the size of the virtual address is always more, the address space of the virtual memory is always more than the memory space of the physical addresses. Now let us have a look at some of the concepts and definitions related to virtual memory. What is a page and what is a page fault? A virtual memory block is called a page, okay, and the virtual memory miss is called a page fault. Of course, the page fault can again be of two types. It could be an actual page fault or it could be a virtual page fault, but we'll come to that little later. As of now, we'll just keep in mind that the virtual memory block is called a page and the virtual memory miss is called a page fault. The virtual memory produces a virtual address which is translated by a software and hardware combination into a physical address. There is a new concept called page table which is used to locate the pages, okay, where are the pages located. So it resides in memory, this page table, and it is indexed by the page number from the virtual address. So virtual address produces a page number which will be used to index the page table which is residing in memory, and from that page table we can get the translation of the virtual address to the physical address. To indicate the location of page table in memory, okay, the hardware includes a register that points to the start of the page table, and this is called the page table register, because from where the page table starts, that also needs to be known, okay. So in order to therefore indicate the starting point of the page table, we have a hardware that includes a register which contains the start, or which indicates to the start of the page table. So that is known as page table register, which does that. Now each process has its own page table, and since different processes use the same virtual addresses, therefore the operating system is responsible for allocation of the physical memory. So as I said to you earlier, that every process can have its own page table, and there are different processes that may use the same virtual address, but they will never point to the same physical memory at the same time, which is simultaneously. So it is the job of the operating system to allocate the physical memory based on the demand. Now let us have a look at the hardware architecture of how a virtual address is converted into its physical address by the usage of a page table. So you have the page table register, which is the page table pointing to the start, page table register pointing to the start of the page table. So basically this is the page table register which contains address to the start of the page table, so which is at this point. And then you have the virtual address, 32-bit virtual address, that comprises of two fields. The first is the virtual page number and the second is the page offset. Okay. This is defined into two different fields. So the page offset is 12 bits and the 20 bits is for the virtual page number. And how we get to from the virtual address to the physical address is through the presence of an architecture known as page table, which actually contains the translation information, okay. So the page table therefore has two fields. The first is the valid bit field and the second is the physical page number field, okay. So from virtual page number to physical page number, mapping is done through this page table. So when the valid bit is off, it indicates that the page is not present in the main memory, okay, and the page fault occurs therefore. While if the valid bit is on, it indicates that the page is in main memory, okay, and the page table entry contains the physical page number. So as you could see from here, that this is that 12-bit information. So the number of bits in the page offset is actually determining the page size, okay. What is the size of the page basically? So that is determined by the page offset, and this 20-bit is the input, and we produce an 18-bit output which points to the physical page number. So therefore the number of physical pages is 2 to the power 18, while the number of virtual pages is 2 to the power 20. So as you could see, the number of virtual pages is always larger than the number of physical pages, therefore giving an illusion of an unbounded memory to the designer. Another thing to note here from the page table is that the size of the page is 2 to the power 12 bytes, so that gives you 4 kilobytes, Okay, this is 4 KB 2 to the power 12, and so this page size therefore indicates that it is a size of 4 KB. The virtual address space is 2 to the power 32, which is 4 GB virtual address memory space, and the physical main memory address space is 2 to the power 30, because we have 30 bytes here in this respectable portion, which is equivalent to 1 GB. So you see that the physical main memory is 1 GB, while the virtual address memory or virtual address space is 4 GB, 4 times of that. And the number of entries in the page table is 2 to the power 20, which is 1 million. Okay, this is 2 to the power 32 divided by 2 to the power 12, which is 2 to the power 20. That gives you 1 million number of entries in the page table. The total virtual address space is 2 to the power 32, and the page size is 4 KB. Therefore, the number of entries in the page table will be 2 to the power 32 divided by 2 to the power 12. That gives you 2 to the power 20. So, therefore, 1 million entries are possible inside this page table. Okay. So, basically, the fundamental of what I am trying to say is that the page table is the main architecture that is actually responsible for converting a physical address, or rather a virtual address, into a physical address, okay, through conversion of a virtual page number to its physical page number. Now let us have a look at the operating system, the role of OS in the virtual memory concept. So if the valid bit is for the virtual page is off, then we know that the page fault has occurred, and then the operating system is given control, and once the OS gets control, it must find the page in the next level of the hierarchy, which is the disk, and then decide where to place the requested page in the main memory. It uses LRU, least recently used replacement scheme. I have already spoken about this in the last lecture. That is, the farthest away page that has been used will be replaced by the requested page. Now, since we do not know ahead of time when a page in memory will be replaced, we do not know that ahead of the time. So therefore, the operating system creates a space on disk for all the pages of a process whenever it creates a process. Okay, and this particular disk space, which contains the information of all the pages of a process, is known as swap space. Okay, and this is created inside the disk, the hard disk, permanent storage. The OS is also responsible for creating two data structures. First is the record table that tells where each virtual page is stored on the disk, and second is it tells which virtual address uses the physical pages. Okay, now let us have a look at another diagram which connects the virtual page number concept, the page table, physical memory, and the disk, all four into one. So you have the virtual page number here. This is the virtual page number. It comes from the virtual address space, and this is used to index the page table. So that actually is used to index the page table. For example, it points to this particular index. This is a valid bit in the page table. So if it is off, the valid bit is off, it means that the page is not present inside the physical memory and it is inside the disk. Therefore, for the ones which are 0, they are all pointing to the disk storage, while the entries, okay, or indexes which have a valid bit turned on, they all indicate that the page is present inside the physical memory. Okay, so therefore this is all present here. The translation is therefore indicating to the physical address present here inside the physical memory, which is the main memory, the RAM. And as I said earlier, each program has its own page table. Therefore, the mapping the virtual address space of that program to main memory is possible. Few additional notes on the page table. So page table plus the program counter plus the register specify the state of a program, which is a process, and to allow another program to use a processor, the state has to be saved so that it could be restored later, and the restoration of the state enables the program to continue execution. A process is active when it is in possession of the processor, okay, otherwise it is considered to be in inactive state or dormant state. And the operating system activates a process by loading the process's state including the program counter. So whenever the particular process is in the possession of a processor, that is, resources have been allocated by the OS, it is considered to be active. If it is not in the possession of the processor, then it is considered to be dormant or inactive. Okay, and how do we activate a process? is by restoring or by activating its state. The state would mean the information on the page table, program counter, and the register informations. Okay, now let's look into another concept related to virtual memory. This concept is known as translation look-aside buffer. So TLB means that it is actually being used as a cache for the page table. Okay, this is another concept. So this is actually the cache of the page table itself. Okay, so let's see how it works. So every reference looks up for the virtual page number in the TLB. Okay, and the TLB hit uses a physical page number to form the address and turns on the reference bit. So whenever a TLB hit is achieved and the physical page number is used to form the physical address, then automatically the reference bit of the TLB is turned on. The TLB usually has two bits, the reference bit and the dirty bit. While if the writing has to be made into the TLB, then the dirty bit is turned on. Okay, that's the second bit, the dirty bit, and the first bit is reference bit. Another interesting thing to note here is that a TLB miss can either be a true page fault or just a TLB miss. If the page exists in memory, the processor loads a translation from the page table into the TLB and tries for the referencing again. So what I'm trying to say here basically is that a TLB miss doesn't mean that a page fault is occurred. It could either be a true page fault or it could just be a TLB miss, because TLB is a subset of the page table. It is a cache of the page table. So it doesn't mean that if you have a TLB miss, that means it is obviously a page fault. Then obviously the next question that comes to the mind is, then why do you use a page table? Of course, it's just the same purpose as a cache, that you are keeping the most recently used translation inside a TLB so that the access time could be reduced. Okay, you can just quickly search up the cache and produce the translation from the virtual page number to the physical address. Else you will have to look for the entire thing in the page table. In case a true page fault occurs, the processor invokes the operating system, and so that's obvious because you need to then look for it in the hard disk, and a TLB has much fewer entries than the pages in the main memory, and TLB misses are therefore much more frequent than page faults. So these are some of the concepts related to TLB that you need to keep in mind. Okay, now let's look into another diagram that connects the TLB concept, the page table concept, with the physical memory and the disk. Okay, so suppose you have a physical page number on the left side which is indexing the page table, and the same virtual page number is pointing to the TLB also, as I said. Now it contains dirty bit and reference bit. Okay, of course it contains a valid bit also, but valid bit we are not going to talk about now. We'll just focus on the dirty bit and reference bit. So what did I say? I said that the reference bit is turned on whenever there is a TLB hit, and using that the physical page number is used to form the physical address. Okay, and when that is achieved, the reference bit is turned on. While when the TLB has to be written with some data in case of misses, then the dirty bit is turned on. So you therefore have the dirty bit and the reference bit, the tag bit and the physical addresses. They are all pointing to the respective physical memory because the translation is here. So therefore this behaves as a cache of the page table. Okay, and whatever is present here will certainly be present here. Okay, so these are all pointing to this particular location. Now in case of the translations that are not present inside the TLB, it could be present inside the page table. Okay, so page table may have those translations which are not present inside TLB, so therefore page table will certainly have all the information of the TLB, okay, plus some additional translation information, while the information of the page number that are not present inside the page table actually indicates that it's a true page fault, and therefore the valid bit is 0, and in that case it actually points out these blue bars, shaded blue bars are therefore pointing out that the page is inside the disk and not inside the physical memory. Okay, now let's do a small example. Let's say that you are given a 32-bit virtual address and a 4 KB page. Okay, and this is basically the page size I'm talking of, 4 KB page size, and you have 4 bytes per page table entry. Okay. So the number of page table entries will be 2 to the power 32 divided by 2 to the power 12. Okay, which is actually indicating that there is a, because the number of pages are 4 KB. We have 4 KB number of pages. So therefore the number of page table entries will be 2 to the power 32 by 2 to the power 12. That gives you 2 to the power 20 number of entries, which is 1 million entries. And therefore the size of the page table can be given as number of page table entries multiplied by the number of bytes per page table entry. So 4 bytes are allocated per page table entry, so that gives you 4 MB, which is the size of the page table. Okay, now let's look at the bigger picture. So if you look into the bigger picture, that is the the holistic picture of how the memory operations are executed after the virtual address formation is done. Let's have a look at it. So you first form the virtual address, and then you look for the translation in the TLB. Step number 1. If it is a miss, it goes for lookup for the virtual address in the looks up for the virtual address in the page table. Okay, that is what happens when you have a miss. Or if you have a hit in step number 3, then it computes the physical address and forms the complete memory reference. And once this looking up for the virtual address in page table occurs, and you still do not find for that virtual address translation inside the page table here, then it's certainly a miss, and that results into page fault, the red box here. While the lookup for the translation in the TLB is checked up inside the TLB cache architecture. So what happens if you have a page fault? In case of a page fault, it goes to step number 6. If it is not a page fault and it's a hit, that is, you are able to find out the virtual address translation inside the page table, which is this one here. Then it will have a hit, and because of the hit, it will again compute the physical address and do the memory referencing. While if the page fault occurs in step number 6, then it loads the page from disk, okay, by checking the hard disk in step number 7. And by loading the page from disk, it actually updates the page table also. So therefore in step number 10, the page table is also updated. While at the same time, besides updating the page table, it also uses that page to compute the physical address and then completes the memory reference. Okay, so that's how the if-else part of the complete picture of the memory operations work after the virtual addresses is supplied. So now let us have a look at the exhaustive scenario of how the hit-miss process works during virtual memory translation. So you have a TLB, okay, that could be a hit. Then the next is the page table could be a hit, and the cache could be a miss. Is this possible? If so, under what circumstance? Yes, it is possible, although the page table is never really checked if the TLB hits, right? This is obvious. So hit miss is possible. Second is miss hit, that is, the TLB is a miss and the page table is a hit. So TLB miss means the entry has to be found in the page table, and after retry the data is found in the cache. So that is definitely possible. So miss hit is also possible. The third scenario is you have a miss, TLB is a miss, the page table is a hit, and the data cache produces a miss. That is also possible. So TLB encounters a miss, but the entry is found in the page table, and after retry the data misses in the cache. The fourth condition is the TLB is a miss, the page table is a miss, and the cache is a miss. Certainly this is also possible. The TLB misses and is followed by a page fault because the data is not also present inside the page table, the translation, and after retry data must also miss in the cache. The next one is hit. The TLB is a hit and the page table is a miss and cache is a miss. This is certainly not possible because if there is a TLB hit, that means there is a translation possible or translation available inside the TLB, and if the translation is available inside the TLB, that means the translation is also available inside the page table. So therefore hit and miss combination between TLB and page table is not possible. The next is hit, miss, hit. Again, this is impossible. You cannot have a translation in TLB, but not present in the memory. So it cannot have a translation in TLB if the page is not present in the memory. So that is definitely not possible. So again, hit miss combination is invalid. And the last is miss. So TLB is a miss, page table is a miss, and the cache is a hit. This is also not possible because the data cannot be allowed in cache if the page is not inside the memory. Okay, if the page is not inside the main memory, then data cannot be inside the cache. So this is the exhaustive list of outcomes and analysis based on the memory units used during the virtual memory mapping process. Okay, now let's look at the final condition flow after TLB hit miss. So the condition check for TLB hit miss results into two major conditions. First is reading cache after TLB hit, and second is writing cache after TLB hit. Okay, now depending on whatever is the outcome of the TLB hit miss, the reading and writing of the cache will be possible. Okay, based on the TLB hit condition. If TLB is a miss, of course, then it's not possible. But if TLB is a hit, then the cache will either be read or will be written. So depending on the virtual address, first the TLB access is done. If it's a TLB hit, no, then it's a miss. Okay, that means we'll go for an exception. If it is hit, then we form the physical address. Okay, and then we will either read or write. If it's a write, yes, then we go this side. If it's a no, that means we do a reading, then we try to read the data from the cache. If the cache data is present, yes, then we deliver to the CPU. If it is not present, then it's a cache miss, and then again we'll try to read the data, okay, from the cache by replacing the data, by replacing some of the older data from the cache, by bringing in the data from the RAM into the cache memory. Now if the data after the writing process, writing condition box that we check here, if it's a yes, that is, we would like to write it, then we have to first check if the write access bit is on, because cache also has a write access bit. So if that is on, yes, then we try to write the data into the cache. Now cache hit, okay, is possible, yes, to write data into the cache by updating the dirty bit. Again, it will not be a cache hit. Okay, then we'll again have a cache miss, and we'll try to rewrite the cache once again. Okay, so that's how the process of writing and reading the cache works after the TLB hit occurs based on the virtual address formation. Okay, so we are done with the lecture on virtual memory. So you've learned 2-3 major concepts about virtual memory, which is pretty much what is required at the third year undergraduate computer architecture level. So you learned about how a virtual memory is useful. Okay, what is the usage of virtual memory. Second is you've also learned about what is a page fault. You've also learned about the concept on page table, what is page table register, how the translation of a virtual page number to physical page number occurs, or how a virtual address is mapped onto a physical address. That also you've learned. You've also learned about the comprehensive bigger picture, that what really happens after the virtual address is formed, and how does each of the different memory units play a role in finally forming the physical address. And you've also learned about the role of operating system in the entire process. Okay, so we are done with the concept on virtual memory. In the next lecture we will talk about direct memory access. Thank you so much.